Hello and welcome to An Idle Call Food. I'm your host, JT Tapias. And in today's episode, I am going to share with you some of the reasons why you haven't been able to stick to a diet consistently. I know you've probably tried Atkins, keto, South Beach, macro counting, calorie counting, and maybe you've had a little bit of success, but when you get into the friction of life, when life gets difficult, you simply fall off, you regain the weight, you get super disappointed, you blame your coach, you blame the program, but ultimately, I'm going to tell you in a very short period of time here why it is you can't sustain your great results. Also, I'm going to show you how you can actually get into any of these protocols if that's what you decide to do: keto, Atkins, South Beach, Whole30, macro counting, any of these programs, or maybe you come on board and you join our Empty Your Bucket nutrition plan. And of course, I'm biased. I'm telling you right now, you will be blown away by the results. Here is why we know what we know about weight loss. More importantly, what we know about sustainability. I've been in the fitness and nutrition industry for 2 decades now, and I've worked with thousands of people from all walks of life, from 12-year-olds to 70-year-olds, and we have been able to get great sustainable results. Before I get into it, I want to explain to you why I think dieting is so hard. I think there's such a negative connotation to the word diet, and all we can think about is the first 3 letters of the word diet. We feel like we're going to die. We think we're going to be starving, that we're going to be miserable, that everyone else is going to have a great time. And here we are in a corner drinking diet water while everyone else is having an amazing time. Well, I have news for you, because I'm going to teach you how to do this in a systematic way, in where you can lose 25, 30 pounds in just 90 days without being hungry, without having to feel deprived. More importantly, I'm going to teach you the 80-20 principle so that all these things can stick regardless of where you are: weekends, holidays, people, places, things, all the things that come at you when you're trying to change your lifestyle. So first and foremost, let's talk about the reasons why you're always hungry, right? For the most part, I will say that as a trainer, when I walk into a restaurant, I look around, and the first thing I do naturally is to look at people's plate. Now, I'm not criticizing them. It's just something that I've been doing for a long time. So I want to see what people's choices are. And one of the things that I often see is that most people, especially women, don't eat enough protein. Can I tell you something about protein? There are 2 anabolic things that we can do. One is lift weights and the other is eat protein. Okay. Women don't eat enough protein. I have no idea why. I think it's a hormonal issue. Guys have no problem being woken up at 3 in the morning and handed a rotisserie chicken, and we could just eat at any time. As long as it's good protein, we're going to eat it. Whereas women struggle in this area. That being said, the vast majority of people don't eat enough protein. And protein is one of those macronutrients that actually spikes the least amount of insulin, which is what we're trying to avoid. We want insulin stability, and we want to be satiated. No one wants to be hungry. So if you're not eating enough protein, guess what? You're going to be hungry all the time. It's going to be hard for you to build muscle, and you're going to walk around wanting sugar, right? If you're not getting enough protein in, and let's say you bring in a bunch of starches, right? You spike all that insulin, then of course, 30, 40 minutes later, you're hungry. You're going to want to eat something that you're not supposed to eat, and it gets you in trouble. So I would say anywhere from 6 to 8 ounces of protein is more than enough. One of the easiest ways to look at it is look at the palm of your hand. Okay. So the palm of your hand, right? And the thickness of your hand, you can have 1 to 2 pieces of protein, the size of the palm of your hand, the thickness of the palm of your hand. And this, once again, is a micronutrient that doesn't spike a ton of insulin. It's going to keep you satiated. It's a building block for muscle. And I'm telling you right now, if you're eating healthy, lean proteins, you're going to do well. Okay. So that's the number one thing I want to tell you. We got to bump your protein up. For every meal, you should be having some kind of protein. Number 2, which is the most underrated thing, the thing that we never think about. The vast majority of us are sleep deprived. We don't sleep enough, right? We think that because we get 6 hours of sleep, that's enough. And you hear, the bros out there that say you can sleep when you die. Well, if you don't sleep enough, you're going to die sooner than you should, right? And so we need sleep. If you're not sleeping, you're going to spike a ton of cortisol. Cortisol is a stress response hormone, and it's not favorable to weight loss. So you can be doing all the right things. You can be doing the right cardio, training right, eating right. But if you're not sleeping well, you're not recovering well, you're not letting your nervous system get the recovery it needs, you're gonna fight an uphill battle. Okay, so we need 7 to 8 hours. One of the best ways that I can tell you to approach this is we're very used to setting an alarm to wake up, set an alarm to go to bed, right? When that thing goes off at 9:30, you should be in bed by 10 at the latest, right? You want to get 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep. Now, if you're a night owl, you can train yourself little by little progressively to get to bed, I would say no later than 10 p.m. There's lots of studies out there that prove that the sleep that you can get between 9 and 5 a.m. is radically different than the sleep you get from, say, 12 to 6 or 12 to 7, even if you're getting 7 hours of sleep, but you're going to bed at 12. It's radically different how your body is going to restore, because we want to get into REM sleep. And one of the fastest ways to do that, one of the most restorative things you can do, is to get to bed before 10 p.m. Okay, so I think I've said enough about sleep. Number 3, you're eating too many refined carbs, right? That's another thing that I look all the time when I go to hotels and when I go to places. I see people's plates and they're packed with pancakes and grits and mashed potatoes and pastas and all these yummy carbs that spike a ton of insulin, right? They have these big peaks and these big troughs, and people are hungry all the time. Have you noticed that when you eat Chinese rice or when you eat pasta, you're hungry right away? Or maybe you have one of these subs and sure enough, 45 minutes, hour later, you're starving again, versus, right? Eating healthy fats, which I'm going to talk about next here. Okay. But let's talk about the refined carbs, right? We want to make sure that we're not spiking a ton of insulin, because if you're bringing these bursts of insulin, peaks in, then you're going to have a quick trough. What happens is your body utilizes that energy and it goes generally to one of 3 places. It either goes to liver stores, muscle, or adipose tissue, aka fat. If you are not metabolically well, if you don't have enough muscle mass, then generally what happens is that becomes adipose tissue. The accumulation of that glycogen becomes fat. So we don't want to bring in these big rushes of insulin through eating these carbs. I'm not demonizing carbohydrates. I think there's a place and a time for them, but we have to utilize them in a smart way. Otherwise, they're just going to work against us. So we want to be careful with refined carbs. We want to look for slow digesting carbs, okay? Things such as sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, couscous, almonds, seeds, nuts, dark pigmented fruit, right? And then we want to do, everyone has a different diet. I don't want to give any metrics here, but I would just say that a fist is more than enough, maybe for breakfast, maybe for lunch, but none past 1 p.m. I can get into the whole reason why I think nutrient timing is so important, but I want to give you the baseline here. I don't want to take too long. I want to keep it sweet, short, and to the point. So we want to make sure that we are controlling those big insulin spikes. The other reason why people are hungry all the time, and when I say all the time, this is number 5, is that you don't have enough healthy fats in your diet. This is something we don't think about. When you're eating a salad, maybe you think, oh, I missed some cheese, or oh, I forgot my dressing, but you never really think about, hey, I need healthy fats in my diet. Let's talk about healthy fats. So avocados, right? Half of a medium avocado, or you can have olive oil, coconut oil, right? You can have something called Udo's oil, UDOS oil. Udo's oil is omegas 3, 6, and 9. It's a great balance of healthy omegas that you can bring into your diet. They're going to give you a ton of energy. You're going to feel satiated, and you're not going to want to eat all the time, like when you're eating a ton of starches, right? All these refined sugars that spike your insulin and make you hungry all the time. So fats keep you fuller longer, right? You feel you feel like you don't need to eat all the time, and you're going to have a ton of energy. So pick a healthy fat for breakfast, for lunch. That can be an avocado, that can be olive oil, that can be coconut oil, that can be Udo's oil. You can cook with ghee. All these things are going to allow you to be satiated, and you're not going to be hungry all the time. Number 6, you're most likely not drinking enough water. I think most people are chronically dehydrated. And so drinking water is great. I would say half a gallon to a gallon of water throughout the day. If you're not a water drinker, you can do this progressively. You also want to bring in an electrolyte, right? Water is not always going to hydrate you. You want to make sure that you're bringing in an electrolyte like Keto K1000. You can get it on Amazon. You can do it when you wake up first thing in the morning. I like to do it when I wake up in the morning, and I like to do it right before I go to bed, because those are dehydration periods. You're not intaking any liquids you're sleeping, most likely. Most people sleep with their mouth open. That creates dehydration. And so drinking the Keto K1000 right before going to bed and when you wake up is a smart way to stay hydrated. And then throughout the day, you're just sipping on water. One of the fastest ways to do that is get yourself a motivational water bottle. You know what I'm talking about. One of those pretty little water bottles that you can have by your desk. And then when you see it, you're reminded to drink water. That's called a visual cue. And that's a smart way to intake water throughout the day. Number 7, I would say that the vast majority of you guys lack fiber. You lack fiber in your diet. And that is because you're not eating enough vegetables. Vegetables is that one thing that we think, yeah, I'm eating enough, I'm getting enough vegetables. But the truth is, how much is enough? Because the truth is, the beauty about vegetables, especially the green leafy vegetables, is that you can eat a football field of them and they keep you satiated. They keep you going to the bathroom, which is a great reason to have fiber in your diet. We want to have a healthy digestion. And if you're not getting these, not only will you be hungry, but your digestion will be backed up. And because 80% of our health is in our gut, it's super important that we're bringing in a healthy dose of fiber. So the rule of thumb is this: you should have 2 to 4 cups of greens per meal. I'm a big fan of green beans, broccoli, asparagus, spinach, right? Any of these things will serve you well. You'll get a healthy dose of fiber. If you're not big on vegetables, what you can do is you can actually have a green powder supplement, right? And this is just vegetable and powdered vegetable, the supplement that you can find on the market. If you go to eybplantfuel.com, you can find our green supplement, eybplantfuel.com. You can find an amazing green supplement in there if you don't like to eat vegetables, if you don't like to chew vegetables, okay? Next is you want to make sure that you're not eating while distracted. A lot of you guys like to sit in front of the television and just unconsciously start eating, and that causes issues because you can down a bag of Doritos or potatoes or chips in a matter of seconds if you're not paying attention. So we want to make sure that we're bringing consciousness to the act of eating, okay? If you do that, I promise you'll be satiated faster. You're going to be more in control of the things that you're eating. But sitting in front of a TV and being hypnotized by the TV as you're eating can be super dangerous. Here's the other one that most people don't think about. We think of these things in terms of, well, if I'm exercising, it's a good thing. The challenge is a lot of you guys are not working out in a smart way. Meaning you're staying at the gym too long. You're going too many days in a row. You're not letting your nervous system rest. The importance of resting is underestimated, okay? We should be giving our body some time to rest. Now, depending on your level of fitness, right? If you're just getting started, I would say every other day is a good rule of thumb. If you are an experienced person that goes to the gym all the time, I would say going to the gym 3 days and resting 1 day is good. So you can let your nervous system rest. You can let those muscles repair. And then when you go back, you're going to be stronger. You're going to allow your body to recover naturally. You're not going to be as sore. And this is also going to control your appetite because you're training all the time. Your appetite is going to be crazy. You're going to be ravenous. And so you want to make sure that you're controlling your hunger, right? And one of the ways to do that is to be very smart in the way you train. I personally like to train 3-4 days a week. I like to take breaks in between those breaks. What I do is I do steady state cardio. So it's just a form of cardio that I do for 45-60 minutes where I'm power walking. It's one of the fastest, greatest ways to decrease body fat percentages and lose unwanted weight. Last but not least, please don't drink your calories. There are so many brands out there that just put out great marketing. They do a great job with their marketing because when you look at the labels, it looks like it's something healthy, right? The juices, or you go to a breakfast place and you're like, oh, look at that freshly, pressed orange juice. Guys, let me just tell you that if you're drinking your fruit, you are getting a burst of insulin, and it is the least thing, the most unhealthy thing you can ever do, right? A lot of you guys serve orange juice in the morning to your kids. Like, you give them orange juice. This is a huge burst of insulin that they just don't need. There is a digestive enzyme that is in our saliva when we chew. So when we eat our fruit, that digestive enzymes allows that digestive process to begin. If you're drinking your juice, it's going straight into your bloodstream. It's spiking your insulin, and it's not doing anything good for you. So please, if you enjoy fruit, Be cautious. Fruit is healthy, but you still need to portion it out. You can't just go crazy eating all kinds of fruit, and especially you don't want to drink your calories. Be careful with Gatorades and all these things that promote, hydration. Unless you're running a marathon or a triathlon, you're a triathlete or one of these things, then you really don't need these extra calories that all these drinks have, right? You can drink water, you can find an electrolyte that's low in calories, and that's going to serve you the best. I hope you've enjoyed this video. More importantly, I hope you put it into action. Reasons why you're always hungry, 9 reasons why you're always hungry, how to avoid that, how to make your diet sustainable, and how to eat and train in a smart way so you're not exerting all of this energy. You are hitting your goals. More importantly, you're sustaining those goals. My name is JT Tapias with the Empty Your Bucket Nutrition Plan. And this is an episode of An Idol Called Food. If we are not friends yet and you haven't subscribed, please do so that we can stay connected. I'll talk to you guys soon. Ciao, ciao.